Hello and welcome to the next episode of Build the Back to the Future DeLorean, where we're going to be looking at issues 40 and 41 in this video. And just to let you know that these parts, and for the video coming after this one, are all going to be the interior of the car. So we're going to look at things like brake pedals, speed up pedals, and all the time circuit stuff. Really juicy parts coming up in the next two videos, and I'm really excited to get started. However, I do need to say that before we get started on the actual parts of the videos, I'm going to be doing something which I didn't think I was going to be doing in any of these current builds. And it's something that I did a lot of on the Millennium Falcon, and that is doing my own mods and customization. Now I have to say that these modifications are not my own idea. I have stolen these modifications from Steve Dwyer, who I saw his photos and videos on the Facebook group, and there's a link in the description below to his videos. He's doing a lot of mods for the DeLorean, things of which that I won't do, but I was very inspired to do the ones that I'm going to show you now. But I have to give credit to him because it's all his idea, and it's his techniques that I'm kind of copying. So make sure you go check out his videos, and thank you very much, Steve, for giving me the ideas and letting me talk about them on this channel. Now the first mod is going to be for this piece here, which is kind of the floor of the interior of the DeLorean. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover these are seat panels, these are seat runners, these parts here and this part here. I'm going to cover this part with carpet because in a DeLorean, in the Back to the Future DeLorean, these parts are carpeted. So I went onto eBay and I searched for grey carpet, and this is the grey carpet that I have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the holes for all the screw parts and all the seat attachments and everything like that, and then place the carpet over this grey part so that it has a nice carpeted finish. I'm also going to do it with the part that we'll see upcoming with all the brake pedals and the accelerator and stuff like that. That part will also be carpeted as well. I am going to do that off camera though, because it's going to take some time and I'm not really sure how it's going to all work out. But I will show you when it's all done before we get started going on adding parts to this bottom base. The next modification part is on this part here. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky because we do have buttons in this center console part. I should say that this part you get in issue 41. So I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to kind of cut out the leather for these parts, and I am jumping ahead of myself here. I am going to use leather material for this center console. Again, eBaying leather offcuts, and you get quite a lot of choice, and I decided to go for this one because of course the center console is leathered as well, as most interior of cards are. So that's why I kind of want a leather center console. The only problem is I didn't get the measurements right, so this piece of leather is not big enough to kind of cover the whole thing completely. You are going to get parts kind of uncovered. So what I'm going to have to do is, luckily it came with 4 of them, so I do have spare, and I'm going to kind of cover this one side with one and then fold it in the middle, and then this other side and in the middle as well. So there will be kind of a seam going through the center, but luckily all the kind of time circuit stuff will cover the seam, and the display console and stuff will cover the seam, I hope. Anyway, that's the plan. So there might be a slight little seam here, but it shouldn't be too noticeable. So coming up is a slideshow of photos of me kind of adding these materials to these parts, and when that slideshow is over I will show you what that finished product looks like. And I forgot to take any more because I got so into adding these extra materials to these parts that, yeah, I totally forgot that I was going to say I was going to make a slideshow of photos. So I am really sorry that you're not going to see the process of me doing these modifications. But here is the finished carpeted floor. I'm very happy with how it came out. I like the carpet texture. It really adds something to to the floor. The seam is more obvious than I kind of was hoping for, but it is okay as well, because it adds to the shabbiness that is the interior of the DeLorean. Yeah, it looks really, really nice. Very, very happy with the texture. Just to give you a little bit about the explain about the process of how I did it. I made sure I cut out these 3 holes first and got them in line, and then I had extra material which I kind of cut out with a knife, including making sure to avoid this kind of little plastic part here, which will hold apart later on. And then I just got a knife to either side of the runners. It's not the cleanest of jobs, but again, it doesn't bother me. It might bother you, so just be careful of how you do it if you do want it with that pristine finished quality. I then added an extra piece here for this top part, and it kind of blends in together very, very well at the bottom there, so I'm happy with that. And then of course cut it away from the runner to make sure that all the wires can go through there perfectly, and it's exactly the same for this side as well. I did mess up a little bit here, so I have had to add extra carpet underneath, but again, it kind of adds a little something, so I'm not too bothered about that. And yeah, I really, really like this mod. I think it's going to add a lot to the finished build. I also think that, I know this is going to sound weird, but it's going to add lots of authentic smells to the model, especially with the leather console on top. The mixture of the carpet and the leather console over time, especially if the doors are closed for such a long time, when you open the doors and you get that kind of smell come out, I think that would be quite nice. A nice little extra touch that you wouldn't get with just plastic parts. So yeah, very happy with how I did this. I know it may seem shabby to some, but I am happy with it. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. If you're not happy with this, make sure that if you do this mod, you do it to a standard that you are happy with. And moving on then to the center console with the leather. You can see I've got extra parts here because I'm not entirely sure how everything's going to fit together at the base of this leather console. But again, it adds a really nice authentic touch. I have the most problematic part really was kind of cutting out this center console here. As you can see, I kind of nipped it a little bit with scissors and knives and stuff, and it's not the neatest of jobs, but again, I don't mind. For me, I like to justify things. Those of you who watched my Falcon videos will understand that I'd like to get into the mindset of why I make mistakes, and this mistake I've kind of come to terms with having is, in my mind, Dr. Emmett Brown, when he was installing all these time circuits and extra stuff, he would have damaged the leatherwork. So that's how I get around making mistakes in my head. So it's at a standard that I'm happy with. Yeah, you notice that this is all kind of clear for all the instruments that we're going to get in the future. You just need kind of the leather kind of covering the corners rather than covering it all, so that's why it's left like that. And you'll also notice that these parts I have already installed. Now actually I haven't installed that one, so that will come later. But when I was playing around with the leather, I started to push these parts in, and of course with the leather adding extra millimeters to the inside of this console, it does make the it does make the kind of space to maneuver these parts really, really quite tight and really quite difficult. And it took me ages to match up the screw holes here and the screw holes here, and I didn't want to take it out just to show the camera, because it honestly took about a good 10-15 minutes to really push these parts in. So I am going to review these parts in the console, but they do come separately. The first part we get, if I can get the focus right, is this part here, which is a mixture of stereo and kind of the heating controls of the DeLorean. Yeah, you've got defrost, heater, vent. I don't think it is a stereo actually, I'm lying. It is just the controls, the temperature controls. Got the blower there, dial, looking very nice. And then we've got another dial here, I think probably a cigarette lighter, something like that. Maybe one of these is, I don't know. And then of course we've got a center cutout part, which we'll come on to in just a moment. And then kind of, I presume that these are window buttons, and I'm not sure what that is. But yeah, that is what the parts come. Well, these come part of the center console, and these come separately. Two separate parts, this being one of them, and then this being the other part. So you put this part in first, and you screw it into these screw holes here, which I haven't done yet because I don't need to, because the leather's added so many millimeters of extra space that it pushes against it, so you don't need screws. And again, you'll attach screws there as well. So I am going to do that at some point, but not for the time being. I'm going to kind of take a break from doing all these mods, and then it won't be a break for you, it'll be a matter of seconds, and then we'll get started on the actual parts that come in issues 40 and 41 of this DeLorean build. So the first part we get in issue 40 is this part here. Now out of the packet your part won't look like this, obviously, because I've also covered this in the carpet material. It will look more like this, or exactly like this, which is just kind of black plastic, which you can see here. You've still got the black plastic at the back, and I've just covered it up with the carpet to make it match the floor. I've also cut out these 3 holes because this is the area that we're going to be focusing on. These 3 holes are for the pedals of the DeLorean. Now 2 of them just attached normally into those 2 holes, but this center one here is for the brake pedal. And a nice thing about this model is that when you push down the brake pedal, the brake lights will come on. It's kind of a working feature of the model. So let me just show you what the pedals look like. Like I say, we get 3 of them. The first 2, let's have a look at those first. I've just got normal connectors there, which you'll just screw on in just a moment, and the detail is very nice. So we've got the clutch and the accelerator there, very nice indeed. And then the one we're focusing on here now is the brake pedal, which kind of has a little kind of dink in it, and also has 2 holes at the end rather than just kind of a normal connector. So the first thing you do is you just push the brake pedal through, so it will look like that on this side. Flip it around. Let me zoom in because it is quite fiddly, this part, as you can imagine. Now it's only these few holes and areas that we're going to be dealing with, so take your time with it because it is going to be quite hard to do this part, because the next thing you'll need are these 2 parts here. Well, more importantly, this kind of little rod here. This little, ignore the spring, this little rod, which I've still kept in the packet because I don't want to lose it, will go into that big hole there and through and catch in the kind of groove there, so that the brake pedal doesn't come out when that rod is in. So I'm just going to go away and do that because it's too fiddly to do on camera. Actually, it might not be. Hold on, let's have a look. So just put the little, yeah, no, it's not that hard at all. Just put it through there like that, and then push it down so it keeps it in place there like that. Can you see the rod just in the little groove there? It's holding the brake pedal in place. Brake pedal in place. Cool. Tongue twister. So yeah, that is what that piece looks like when it's all done. And then to secure it so that the rod doesn't come out, you'll use this part. Oh, sorry. You'll use this part here, which is just kind of a little connector part. So it just goes on there like that. So the groove, yeah, there we go. So the groove for the brake pedal will fit in between there, and it can still move it, but it will be locked into place with 2 AP screws, which I'm just going to put in now. There we go. So that part is all secure, and the brake pedal still moves up and down. You can see there, up, down, up, down. Very nice indeed. Yeah, really glad that that is all in okay, because that was one of the things I was worried about most about this brake pedal. The next thing I'm worried about most is the next step, which involves this tiny spring here. And I know what I just said doesn't make sense. The next thing I'm most worried about doesn't make sense, so I am sorry about that. So what you need to do is obviously flip this around again, and there is a little hole in the actual brake pedal part, which you can see just there, and this spring has a little hook on one side, and it's got a circle on the other, but it's got a hook on one side. So what you need to do is you need to hook the spring into that little tiny hole. Oh boy. Oh, I thought I had it then. Trapped. Okay, with the power of editing, it's gone in. First time, look at that. Didn't take ages at all. Yeah, I may have cut it there, which you may have noticed. But yeah, so the spring kind of hooks around there, and that is going to be quite secure when you've got it through, because it is a pain to get in. So it's going to be a pain to get off as well, which is nice. So yeah, with that spring all installed, we move on to the next step, which is just attaching it to this screw hole here through the circular part. So, oh boy, I knew that was going to happen. So you use an AP screw for this, which is what I've got here. And you just line up the circle of the spring with that hole. It's harder to see mine because of the carpet, sorry about that. There you go. In you go. Oh. Okay, yeah, there we go. So if you tighten it too much, the spring starts to go off and weird like that. And you don't want that. So make sure it is secure, but it's not over tightened, because you just want the spring to look like that and just, yeah, spring like that. Can you see that move? That's all you want. Just like that to spring it back into place. Very nice indeed, actually. I love how that spring works, because before, if you just put it up, it stayed down. But now, if you actually push it, it's like a proper brake pedal. Genius. Sorry for the random cut there. The postman just arrived, and unfortunately he didn't bring Thunderbird 2 parts. So those of you who are watching my Thunderbird 2 build on a Wednesdays, it's not looking like I'm going to get a video up this Wednesday, but you still never know what's going to happen. The day is still long. It's a bit of a shame, because those of you who watched my R2-D2 video last week will know that the postman came just at the right time with glue for those parts, and I'm still kind of, yeah, it still makes me laugh that happened. But anyway, back to the DeLorean build. The brake pedal is all installed. Now it's time to install the other two pedals. To differentiate them, you'll see that the connector is slightly different on one of them. It's got this little tab sticking out here. Now you can't really see it because I've put carpet on the parts, but the hole for this part does have a little tab. You can see there on the mold on the back, little tab there. So the one with the tab goes on the right hand side of the brake pedal, and the one without the tab goes on the left hand side, and they're just affixed with AP screws. And when they're all attached, they will look like this. Now they are solid, of course. The only one that moves is this middle one here, like that. But yeah, look really good. Yeah, liking that they're all slightly different shapes, which I guess is the same in the real DeLorean. Now I've gone ahead again slightly and attached the connecting part here, because of course it's all very well and good this pedal moving, but if it doesn't actually connect to a wire, then those brake lights aren't going to come on. So the way that's done is that when I push the brake pedal down, it will hit against that small pad, and these kind of two metal parts will connect, even though it doesn't really look like they do. So it'd be interesting to see whether it actually works when it comes round to it. But yeah, they push together slightly, and then this wire will go around into the main kind of sector to power it. But just to make sure that the wire is secure, we have two holes here again, and you know what these are for. They're for these parts here. And then when it is all connected, it will go through this center console like this, the wire, and then you've got these 6 holes here for the longer parts that we get in this issue to secure the wire down as well. So what I'm going to do now is a lot of screwing in. I'm going to attach that part there, which I just showed you. I'm going to attach this part to the main part of the floor, and then I'm going to secure the wiring down with those black parts. So I hope you like Back to the Future music, because there's going to be a lot of it coming now. Let's get going. And here it is, all screwed down, all secure. I'm loving that you only get a slight kind of seam line between the two carpet parts. That's come out really, really nicely. And the only issue I had with the carpet parts is trying to get this screw in all the way because of course the carpet adds those extra millimeters like I keep talking about. So actually that screw isn't in at all, so I'm going to have to kind of cut away some of the carpet just for that hole, but everything else is down, is secure. The pedals look great. This one still moves, which is very, very nice. Yeah, and these are all the parts we get in issue 40. Let's have a look at what comes in issue 41. Okay, so the first two parts of issue 41 are once again these parts here, which we've already looked at, and I have managed to screw them down. This one kind of got a little messy on me because it wasn't aligned up correctly, but they are secure. They're not coming out any time soon. So the next piece you will need, oh, the screw's going to come out though. That's a bit embarrassing. Anyway, so the next part you'll need is this part here, which is made of this very flexible material, which of course is the bottom of the gear stick, and it's got two holes cut out there and there, or kind of semicircles really, that show you how to align it around the screw holes. So it just pushes in there like that, you see, and it'll come through there looking like that, which is very nice indeed. The next part you'll need is this part here, which is a very thin piece with this kind of almost chest-like piece at the end there. Just turn it around and you just pop it through that hole so it sticks up like that, and you can kind of get some movement out of it as well, which is pretty awesome. To secure all this in place, we have this part here, which has a little hole or a little area to show you which way round it goes. So it kind of fits around there like that, and you just screw it down there to secure everything into place. There we go, and like I say, it's just to secure this part in here so it doesn't fall out, and that is sticking through nicely there. And then the final thing that we do in this issue, and indeed this video, is we get the gear stick knob here with this hole, and you just push it on top of the gear stick like that. And is that on? Yeah, that's on. Oops, sorry. On there like that. So you do actually get a little bit of, ooh, no, where's that gone? And then what you do is you attach just a little bit of glue onto the gear knob and push it down onto the stick so that it is secure, and you can kind of move it with the gear knob and move the gear stick around, which is a nice little touch. I will recommend using glue because I imagine there's a danger of this popping off and you're spending then ages rummaging around on the floor looking for it, which none of us want to do. So to avoid that happening, make sure you just add a little bit of glue there, like I did on this first attempt. So that I didn't have to do that rummaging around on the floor. Anyway, so that is the end of issue 41's part, and indeed the end of this video, and I have really enjoyed this video. I've really enjoyed adding mods to parts again. I didn't think I'll be doing that again, and the parts as they come are really nice as well. I really like this brake pedal mechanism. I really hope that all works. I really like the detail on this temperature control. Yeah, I am a little bit exhausted. It has been a tiring build, this one, getting all the kind of materials and everything together, but I think that it does pay off. I think it looks really good, and just to give you an idea of what it will look like when it's all finished and all installed, you'll have the leather console on top of the carpeted floor there, and I really like the contrast between the leather and the carpet, but I also like the fact that they are very similar color, so you kind of get that grey motif throughout. Yeah, very happy with how this has come out. I hope that you are happy with this video, and I hope that any mods you do with the same amount of success. Feel free to share kind of any other mods that you think you'll be doing to the DeLorean as the time goes on. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I am kind of waffling now again because of all that exhaustion. So I'm going to take a break and get ready for next time, and I tell you, next time has some really iconic Back to the Future DeLorean parts, and it's all to do with this center console here as well. So just to give you kind of a little tease about what's coming up. So I hope you'll join me in a fortnight's time for that. Until then guys, take care. Bye bye.